Good morning and greetings from Northumberland. It's Monday the 3rd of October. It's a beautiful sunrise happening outside my window at the moment. Today the Anglican Church, remembers a man called George Bell, born in 1881 and died in 1958. He was for many years Bishop of Chichester, and he played a prominent role in the life of the Church of England in the 20th century. He was Dean of Canterbury and then Bishop of Chichester. He particularly came to the public eye because of his desire for social reform and for Christian unity, and then formed a friendship with a man called Dietrich Bonhoeffer, whom many people will know was a representative of the Confessing Church, the church that opposed the Nazis in Germany. And Bell, from his position in the House of Lords, was able to speak out against the evils of Nazism and the need to take in refugees from the terrible regime in Nazi Germany. But he also later spoke out against some of the ways in which the war was prosecuted. For example, he spoke up against the blanket bombing of German cities. And this is probably why his courage in speaking out prevented him from becoming Archbishop of Canterbury after William Temple's death. He continued to be a staunch supporter of ecumenism after the war and of social reform. And the Church of England rightly holds him as a central place as an example of a Christian leader in the 20th century. And then about 5 years ago, an allegation was made that he might have abused a young woman. And immediately, of course, he went from star to someone who no one really wanted to talk about, except a small group of people who continued to say, what evidence is there for this? And they began to forensically examine the accusations that were made, including some that were made about a time when he wasn't even in the UK. And so from dropping from a high position where we remembered him till the time where we really stopped remembering him, he has now been rehabilitated when these questions about the veracity of the accusations against him have been examined and found wanting. It's an interesting picture, from hero to someone who the church would have liked to have forgotten, and now the acknowledgement that there was no basis for the accusations made against him. I think it's very interesting because there's something that continues through that. This was a man who, long dead, died in 1958, 2 years after I was born, whose reputation was brought into question and then restored. But the truth is that what he is and what he did still shines forth. And it's something that's important for us to remember, that it is the fruit of his work in social reform, in standing up for justice for the people of Germany under an evil regime, and his care for those who were less well off, that shines through all these years. And so we continue to remember him. And we pray for those who are unjustly accused of things of which they're not guilty. And we pray for those who are unjustly attacked by people in power. There is a dichotomy here that I can't pick an easy way through, except to remember that each case is different, and each person, whether a victim or an accused, deserves justice and honesty. This is something that Bell would have believed deeply in. It's sad for him that his life became an example of this. But please, let us all remember that we are open to the judgment of God. And although we have to take reasonable and sensible precautions to prevent abuse, we also have to remember that we need to prevent false accusations. This has been a bit rambling today, but I pursue it because George Bow was one of those people who was held up to me through my years of priesthood as an example. And I still feel that he is. I was desperately disappointed and saddened by the accusations that emerged and by the way in which they were treated. And it's good to have a perspective renewed. Let's all pursue justice, but avoid persecution. Let us all seek for truth and the protection of the weak, but let's do it in an honourable way. May God bless the people of Ukraine suffering dishonourable invasion and occupation. May God bless the people of Iran who know terrible abuse at this time. May God bless us all.